than that, and that's only been in the last 2 weeks.
Ooh, how were the bars?
I really didn't pay attention. There weren't a lot of people there. It's just a little bar not far from my house, and I ride my chair down there, and we'll just go down there and have a couple beers. Did you go down there with us? Yeah, you went there with Sergio.
Yes, I was there when I was with Transamerica.
Yeah. Yeah, that little hole in the wall is where I go.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, when I was looking through pictures, I sent some pictures to Andy. And I sent the picture of you, the one that you were in. One of the pictures.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
In there. I was like, oh, that'll look familiar.
Nice.
I'll have to grab that picture and share it. Hey, Emily, we're going to get started in a few minutes or so.
Okay, awesome.
Andy, are they doing a lot of riding?
Yeah, so the virtual journey Hope team is kicked off. So it should be getting their miles in. Sutter might want to come off mute because he knows more about than I do, but I don't think they have three days where they virtually ride together.
Nice.
3 days a week.
Yeah, and then they cover more miles in those 3 days a week. Those are just the organized, I guess, virtual rides.
Yeah, those are the structured ones we went with. But the team has really rallied behind wanting to ride pretty much every day. They just set up their own Zoom call, and so they can chat with everyone and still get that camaraderie of riding together on the road. It's really cool. And then Build America is doing the same thing on a different end. They're helping out camps with social media campaigns and all this really cool options to still interact with the camps and still benefit the camps, but in a cool, new, innovative way. And so, yeah, we're excited that we're able to still host all 3 of our events virtually in a cool, new, innovative, outside the box thinking is 100% what's going on with this.
All right, it's 5:01. We'll give it just another minute and we'll get started, everybody. All right.
I just really want you guys to see how the handwriting changes when they emphasize things. It's just so cute. They're like, hey, look, you have an idea and we're going to help you out with it. So
all right, we'll get started now. Hey everybody, my name is Andy Causey. I'm Regional Director for the Ability Experience, and I want to welcome you to our second Ask Anything. We are so excited to kick this second Ask Anything off with some awesome panelists. If you're not quite sure what this is really just truly a virtual space where we can join in and we can ask any respectful question that you may have wondered about what it's like to live with a disability. So we have some awesome panelists that can answer some awesome questions as well you might come up with. And if during this you have some questions that you have, you can ask them live down there at the Q&A down at the bottom, and we'll try to get to those. And we have some questions that were submitted before this, so we'll get started with those. But first, I would like for our panelists to kick us off. So we'll let you start us off.
Did you kind of cut out, but did you say my name?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so hi everybody, my name is Miguel Ayala. I'm a graphic designer by trade from Boise, Idaho. I was part of the BAM team in 2016, 2016. And now I own my own business doing design work here locally. And I also do a YouTube channel to kind of advocate for disability and cerebral palsy and things like that. So yeah, that's a little about me.
Thank you, and I'll kick it off to Mark.
Hey guys, my name is Mark Cameron, and I met up with I was injured in 2004 in a diving accident at a friend's lake house. I'm a quadriplegic, paralyzed from the shoulders down. The dot on my head, if you can see that, is how I run my computer, in case you guys were wondering. But I met up with and was introduced to the ability experience through one of your sponsors, Matthew, I can't remember his name right now, about 14 years ago. So just shortly after my accident. And I host the Kansas City stop when you guys are coming through Kansas City. And I put that stop together. Beyond that, I do some motivational speaking, and I'm also a patient advocate through introducing myself to people with disabilities that the newly injured usually, helping them out with their new injuries and such.
Thank you, Mark, and I'll pass it to you, Sergio.
Yes, hi, my name is Sergio Brereda. I'm from Houston, Texas. I graduated from University of Houston, the Beta New chapter. I did JOH in 2015 and 2016. 2016, I was a staff member as a route specialist for the ability experience and did Transamerica for that year. I have what people call dystonia. It actually mimics cerebral palsy. And then I have two other disabilities, transverse myelitis and there's one, transverse myelitis and then dystonia. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Sergio, and thank you, the three of you, for being here. And we'll go ahead and jump into some questions now. So one question that we had, and really it pertains just to language, and language is so powerful. So this question comes from, how do you prefer to be referred to, such as with a disability or disabled or challenged or impaired. So which three of you, doesn't matter. You can kick us off with your answer if you got
one. I might start. I actually see it with a sense of humor. Most people call me a quadriplegic, and that's fine. I've got a spinal cord injury. I'm a person with a disability, but I really joke about it. So the volunteers that I have around me, we call them the Quad Squad, and I make fun of my disability more than anybody else I know. But it's really just to open up a line of communication and get them to understand that I've got a sense of humor and that they can kind of say whatever they want.
I agree with what Mark said. I think there needs to be a line between having humor, and also knowing the difference between like respect. So just kind of having the balance between the two. Between the words that you referred to, I don't mind disabled, but again, it just depends on everybody else. I think like using impaired kind of goes to another disability, for example, like visually impaired. That would be more appropriate. So yeah, it's just a matter of knowing the person that you're talking to.
For me, actually, I'm really laid back as to the reference of word choice. Like, I also classify as what Mark would classify as a quad, because I do have disabilities in all 4 limbs. So I classify with that as well. The only word that I'm still kind of iffy is handicap. I don't like to be referred as a handicap. It's just a personal preference of mine. But other than that, I'm really laid back.
Thank you for that, Sergio. Is that the common consensus among the 3 of you that I guess the word handicapped is something you don't prefer?
I do correct people if we're in public and they're looking for handicap parking, and I just tell whoever's driving, I say, well, it's disabled parking, and they don't understand the connotation when I tell them where handicap derived from, and but I tend to correct people when they say that.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, yeah, thank you for that and your honesty about just the meaning behind, language. It's so powerful. So I'll jump to the next question. So, how would each of you define resilience or resiliency?
I can go.
Go ahead, Sergio.
I can. So resiliency or resilience is basically the capacity to overcome obstacles. Anyone can have resilience when it comes to a time that they have an obstacle that they have to get through. I am a strong believer that anyone can get through something with the correct mindset or whatnot. So it's all about being strong when everything is going against you, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo what Sergio said. And I think for me, resiliency and hope kind of go together, because I feel like if you have hope, then you can push through anything. Kind of like Sergio was saying, no matter how hard things get, if you have hope, at the end, you'll be able to make it through.
And I'll add on to that I also see it as a kind of a stick-to-itness, that you set your goal and you've got the right mindset, and that you try to follow through. And if you don't make your goal, reach your goal, then you stick to it until you do.
Thank you. And that could go back to the quote I've seen lots of times. And if any of you want to talk a little more about it, but the quote, "The only disability in life is a bad attitude." I don't know if you guys feel that way, but if would any of you like to talk about that quote and how it makes you feel?
Makes a lot of sense. I've met people with bad attitudes that I can't understand how they can have an attitude like that. If they change their mindset, they can do whatever they want, kind of thing. And so yeah, keep your good attitude on. I occasionally get down about what I'm doing, but I quickly realized that, or my position in life, my condition, and that I quickly changed my mindset, and that helps tremendously.
Thank you, Mark. And Miguel and Sergio, you don't have to answer, but yeah, I'll jump to the next question. So, another question we had: what do you wish to be known for? That's a deep question.
I can jump in on this one first. I think what do I like to what do I want to be known for? I think, just to put it simply, I'd like to be known as a joyful person in kind of whatever I do, and as I go through life, I always try to do it with kind of the most joy. And like Mark was saying, with your question earlier, with a positive attitude. So I think if I had to choose one word, I think joyful would be it for me.
And a positive attitude. I think that a lot of people around me kind of thrive off my attitude. I get that feedback from people on occasion, that they're just always so impressed that I'm upbeat all the time and try to stay positive.
For me, it would have to be being humble. For me, working with nonprofits and serving the communities that nonprofits serve, I like to give of myself, and some people think that I am philanthropic and like to serve and be at service to others.
Awesome. Thank you guys for answering that. Some awesome answers. We had a live question come in, and it was just, what do you guys do for work, or what is your job?
I actually work a little bit a year, about, without COVID around. I do about 20 to 30 speeches a year, motivational speaking. And I go out and talk with a number of middle schools in town, and then a lot of nursing schools that I'll go out and talk to them as well. So that's mainly my job. Besides that, I just work through my 501c3 that I have set up, that I'll help mentor people with injuries, new injuries.
That is so cool, Mark. Yeah, that is so cool. For me, like I mentioned in my intro, I'm a graphic designer by trade. So that's basically what I do. Even before COVID, I had just worked through a computer and usually just meet with clients when we first sign a contract, and just go through the process with them. But I usually just specialize in logo work.
So for me, I'm actually a nonprofit professional. Right now, I'm serving as a AmeriCorps Vista. It's the domestic version of the Peace Corps. So a lot of people know the Peace Corps is multi-international. The AmeriCorps is just national. And right now I'm serving at the Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation as a awareness vista, and serving with them, creating awareness for literacy for all in the Houston area.
Awesome. So while we're on the topic of work, we had another question about the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, and we wanted to know, what impact has the ADA had in your life?
Well, obviously in accessibility, I am surprised sometimes some of the places I go that they do have ramps and that they do have the automatic doors, and some of those accessible things that they brought forth. That's been a huge impact for me. I tend to, if I'm going someplace new, I'm always, whether we're getting out of a car or getting out of my van or traveling, walking to that place, that I'm always looking ahead, making sure I've got a ramp, that I don't get high centered on a sidewalk without a ramp. But I think that the accessibility part of the ADA has been a blessing.
The same for me. Even though I have a mild case of CP, so I can walk, but things like stairs can present a major issue for me, and especially if they don't have like railings for them. So yeah, I always look for ramps or things like that just to make accessibility a lot more useful.
I can echo what Mark and Miguel said for me, ramps, but I also like to throw in education. For me, being in high school and elementary school, I was in special ed at first and needed a lot of attention as I had a learning disability as well. And so that really helped navigate the system for me. Though I honestly believe that there is a need for other reforms of the ADA Act, and hopefully that will come soon for people with disabilities.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sure that you guys are probably aware of, but we're excited to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the ADA being passed in July. So if you haven't checked out our abilities that we're selling, to everyone that's watching, we're selling those up until tomorrow at midnight, and you'll get those and be able to celebrate just and bring awareness to the 30th anniversary of ADA being passed. So thank you guys for answering that. This next question, I guess, is more for Miguel and Sergio, just talking about being a team member for one of our summer events. But so being a team member with a disability, how do you think that changed, if at all, your engagement with campers or people at friendship visits that you met with over the summer?
For me, I was able to relate to the campers on a deeper level because I kind of understood the challenges that they face from my own personal experiences. And I kind of understood where they were coming from. So yeah, I think yes, that's pretty much. I was able to relate and build upon my own experiences to enjoy the camp.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Sergio. Again, like you were saying, there were a few campers with CP, and we kind of just automatically kind of bonded over that. For me, though, a big portion of being in BAM was also filled with just admiration for the rest of my teammates, just because it kind of showed how important friendship is in all of this. And for me, the fact that I kind of had a foot in both worlds, it kind of just meant a lot for me to see the other brothers kind of like you guys say, like give up the summer basically and kind of do this for other people. And then also for me, it was a big challenge for personal growth as well. I remember when we went to a friendship visit, especially for Build America, we do a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, kind of we're in charge of that. So for me, that was completely out of my comfort zone, and especially dancing, right? With my CP, I'm not really comfortable or confident to do that. But seeing the campers and then seeing the brothers on top of that, just kind of not give a care in the world, helped me come out of my shell. So again, for me, it was just all around great experience.
That's awesome. I didn't leave you out of that question, Mark. Your question is more so, you've impacted so many people in Journey of Hope, or so many team members of our Journey of Hope team. By sharing your story, you even bring them into your house to show them how you've made it accessible. Can you tell me what you believe that they walk away with in the stories you share?
I've been doing this for 14 years with each summer, and I'd like to think that they walk away and they recognize my positive attitude, and that I really congratulate them on their resilience to stick to riding their bike or raising the money first, and then doing all the training, and then riding their bike across the United States, and talk to them about how it's really going to help them grow, that they're riding with or spending the summer with 30 guys that they didn't know previously, and that it's going to help them grow together as a group. And that once they finish, that it's going to be how impressed I am at the brotherhood that they enjoy just among that group of 30 guys. And then beyond the fraternity itself, the actual fraternity, that they kind of finish up and they graduate on a special fraternity of guys, of a small group of guys, and have done this ride. But I think that they leave my house with a kind of a feeling of that they feel good about about what I'm doing and what they're doing as well.
We certainly appreciate all you've done throughout the years, Mark, sponsoring and just educating those guys, and hanging out with them too. I know it means a lot to them every year. So Miguel, I got a question for you. So you're involved in the film, making the film, Making Sense, playing the role as Max. And can you tell us about that experience and how you're able to express who you are during that film?
You cut out for the last part.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Can you tell me about that experience, Making Sense, and how you were able to express who you are during that film?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. So it just kind of happened out of nowhere. They needed actors with the certain disabilities that the characters had, and in my case, actually, they really tried. So my character Max has agousia, which is a lack of taste, and I auditioned for the part even though I don't have that disability, and they tried, I think, for 2 months to find an actor with that disability, and they just couldn't find somebody, so I ended up getting the role. So that's how I joined the project. But the whole experience was incredible, just seeing how each scene is set up, and how just seeing, because there was people that were visually impaired, that were deaf, that had a lack of smell as well. So all of these different disabilities with the different senses, it was just an incredible experience to see, and how the script is written. I love it because their disability plays a part, but it plays a part in the overall solution of the plot, and the disability doesn't define the characters. So for example, my character Max, like he's a coder, he's a scientist, and then he just happens to have agousia. So yeah, it was just that kind of thing.
That's awesome. And has that come out yet, or is that soon to come out?
No, so it kind of got stalled with COVID. It was supposed to premiere at the Sun Valley Film Festival here in Idaho, but of course that got canceled. So as far as I know, they're looking for distributors right now. So either Netflix or Amazon or all of them. But we haven't heard like a date or anything yet.
That's awesome. That's really cool. You're involved with that. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then let's see, we got a question for Sergio. Throughout your life, you've overcome so many challenges, and recently you had a brain cyst, correct?
Yes.
And I know that caused you to have to relearn to walk again. Can you tell us about how you just handled that experience, and then handle just obstacles and adversity in your life?
So yes, it's honestly come down to honestly my faith in God, number one, of course, and then my family and friends pushing me throughout the days and hours and giving me encouragement, and then having the mentality of never giving up and having hope. I was always determined to walk again, and I pushed myself to walk again, and no matter what it took, I am fortunate enough to walk again, and yeah.
That's awesome, Sergio. We're so happy that you overcome that brain cyst, and that you are healthy and walking again. So that is so awesome. And Mark, we have a question for you too. Can you tell us a little bit more about Make a Splash and what it means to you?
When I was first injured, I knew that, well, shortly after I came home, I was introduced to a group of students that my sister was a school teacher and wanted me to speak to them. And the first couple of years, I didn't really have a presentation set up. I just told them about my accident and some of the funny stories that resulted from that, just showing them my sense of humor. And then when I dialed in my presentation, I talk about making good choices in life and making good friends and surround yourself with good people. And then the importance of volunteering. And at that, I started to get my my voice, I guess, and my direction. I started Make a Splash not only to educate those kids and the audiences that I talk to, because it's not just kids, on life with a disability, hoping to open up a line of communication that they're not afraid to walk up and talk to somebody with a disability, to show them that some of them have a sense of humor. And then I wanted to reach out. My parents or my family had a lot of trouble just finding small answers to questions. And so I kind of networked myself around Kansas City, hoping that if there is somebody that with an injury, whether it's recent or something that's been ongoing, that they'll reach out to me and I'll see if I can help them solve the problem. So I've met where I talk with a number of people, 2 or 3 people throughout the year with new injuries that I'll meet with their families and talk to them about some of the obstacles that they can overcome.
That's so awesome that you have started that and you're continuing to support that community as well. Another question for all 3 of you now. What is something just that you wish people would stop doing? Whether it's something they say, something like a look they give. Up to you. What's something you wish people would stop doing?
For me, at least, underestimating people with disabilities. For me, particularly, I do not like when people assume that you need help, and that we don't know when to ask for help or whatnot. I will ask for help when I need help, and respect that, you know. So that's me at least.
I've had what irritates me is going into a restaurant and the waitress looks at the person I'm with to ask what I'm going to have, and then I'm looking at them. Or when people they turn to the person that we roll up to a table or the doctor's office, they turn and look at the person next to me to ask them questions. I'm like, I'm right here. Look at me, and I'll be very quick to order my own meal. But I have caregivers, and I God love them, will be at the store, and that they walk ahead of me and move things out of the aisle that I could obviously get through. You could drive a truck through it, and they're moving carts out of the way or moving something, and I'll stop them and say, I can get this. If I need you to move something, I'll ask you to move it. But that, and I have met. It's only happened to me a couple of times, but it really stuck with me that I met different people that have put their hand on top of my head or kissed me on top of the head like they would a 6-year-old, I guess. I don't know. I'm a 50-year-old guy. I don't need somebody rubbing the top of my head for me like they're petting me or feeling, I don't know, patronizing me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think they put it so beautifully. I completely agree with what they say, totally. And I think a solution for that is just not being afraid to ask the person. I know that I'll confess, when we were doing the movie, actually, one of the actresses, she was in a wheelchair, and even my first instinct was to like Mark, you were alluding to it, but my first instinct was to kind of help her. Like, I don't know, it comes from a good nature. I think that's something that we need to remember, as well as people with disabilities, that more often than not, people want to help from a good place. But she did. She's like, exactly. She's like, I'll let you know when I need help, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. And even for me with CP, when I fall, people again automatically just go and try to help, right? Because that's the good thing to do. But sometimes they like grab me or like try to pull me up, and for me that just throws off my balance even more. So they'll prop me up, but since I don't have my balance, I'll just end up falling again. So it's double the work for me. So like they were saying, just ask, and then we'll make sure to let you know if we need help.
Thank you for that, guys. I guess in that same accord, just we have fraternity chapters across the nation that we really encourage to have friendship visits and really encourage them to interact with people with disabilities, and go to a group that serves people with disabilities. And a lot of times they're scared off by it because they're nervous. They don't know how to interact with people with disabilities. What would you say to them?
You really got to ask them what they're, as you meet them. I'd said, I have a sense of humor about my disability, but there could be others that don't. I guess you've got to be able to read the person in the first few minutes, or get to know them before. I've got buddies that make fun of my wheelchair, give me a hard time about being lazy and just go ahead and get up and let the secret out kind of stuff. But they know me well enough to say something like that. Ask them what you can do for them. If there's in a situation that you're in the store that you've fallen over, before you reach over to pick somebody up, when they're in the store and they try to move something for me, it would be so much easier for that person to turn around and say, hey, what can I do for you? If it was a stranger, let me know if I can get anything out of the way for you. It's so much easier to ask before you attempt to help somebody out. But and get to know the person well enough that maybe they do have a sense of humor and that they can laugh about some of that kind of stuff. Somebody else?
Um, Essentially, I would just say to go for it to the people that feel nervous. Just again, what Mark was saying, you have to be able to kind of know the person, and just approach it like you would with anybody else. Sometimes, and I struggled with this before, as a person with a disability, it feels awkward for you to go up to somebody, especially if they're able or if you're trying to make a new friendship. That was a big obstacle for me. So yeah, if it's the other way around, like Mark was saying, just be like, what's your condition? Just be respectful about it. And I know that was one of the things that helped, especially when I started college and in the fraternity. One of the brothers just we were just walking and he just asked me what, you know, what I had, and that kind of opened the door for me. So yeah, just little things like that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Mark and Miguel. Is ask questions, get to know that person as any other person. We all people too. So yeah, just ask questions, and we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, guys. Let's see. I think it's our second to last question, but unless anybody else has one, feel free to put it in the question Q&A tool at the bottom. But does it feel degrading when someone acts sympathetic towards your disability?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. Yeah. Does it feel degrading for someone to act sympathetic to your disability?
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah, I don't want sympathy from anybody. Respect, uh, maybe a sense of awe would be nice. No, um, I, I think that there have been times that I've been the receiver of sympathy, and that's not really what I want. I want them to respect me and treat me as anybody else. And the fact that I have a disability, they can um, again, they can ask you what you need done, whether it's a waitress that uh, talks to somebody else at the table. I make it a point to address her myself. So I'm degraded in that sense, or I feel degraded in that sense. But I usually try to step up and maybe say something intelligent that would impress her. Occasionally that does happen.
Yeah, for sure, it is degrading, and for someone to have sympathy, one of the core values that the ability experience have is to have empathy. You know, uh, that's like one of the values to have is have empathy instead of sympathy. With anything, not only just disability, you know.
I would agree with what they said as well.
Thank you, guys. And before I ask my the last question, I wanted to see if you have any words of encouragement for the virtual Build America and virtual Journey of Hope teams.
Just to keep on going, I know this is very different in the sense that everything is done virtual, but just to keep going and don't give up, and hopefully next year will be a different year, and the event will be live and full action packed, and hopefully you have the chance to join. But yeah, don't give up.
I would just say like thank you, first of all, to them for again just putting in the time, or at least just even just being interested in taking part of any event in the ability experience. And then I would just say that your efforts are truly appreciated and that they do make a difference in the people's lives. So
That's kind of what I tell them on the when they're here for their presentation, is I thank them for making the effort and taking the effort to give up a summer and to raise the money and do all the training, and that I know that it's a lot of time out of a busy college schedule, and that I'm very respectful and in awe that they had the determination to give up a summer to for the betterment of the disabled. So yeah, it's definitely something that's close to my heart what they're doing, and I really appreciate it every year. I meet a great group of guys when they come through each July, and really enjoy meeting them. But yeah, I usually just send them off with a big thank you for making the effort and a lot of respect.
Thank you guys for that, and we'll be sure to pass that along to all of the team members for this year, so they know you're with them, and that you're um, certainly supporting them as well. So for our last question I have for you today, what is the best way that we can support and be an advocate for people with disabilities?
I think doing what you're doing, recognizing that there are people that are less abled and that they need help on occasion. I have family members, or not family members, but friends from high school or college, or even strangers that have contacted me to see if they can come over and rake my leaves during the fall, or help out with small projects. Volunteering time, that's something I really regret I didn't do when I was able-bodied. I was injured at 34, and I could have given up a couple nights at the bar or a couple of afternoons on the couch reading a book to go out and help the neighbors or get involved with an organization. The time that they spend helping me out raking my leaves, I tell them thank you, and by the end of it, I'll have them come to me to tell me thank you for the opportunity, that they believe they get more out of it than I do. And so the time you spend volunteering and giving back is just amazing for somebody that needs the help.
and that's a tough question though. Overall, I think at least for me, just because it does depend on every person with a disability. So yeah, I would just say get to know the people around you mostly on a personal level, and just even locally, maybe volunteer with other organizations. Like I know there's someone from the ARC of Nebraska here, so those types of organizations that help people with disabilities, I think that would be a great way to get started.
I agree. Just get involved in your local communities. The ARC, there's several different organizations that cater to people with disabilities, and then get to know them as well. Understand what they go through on a daily basis to fully understand uh, the struggles and adversities that they have to go through. So yeah.
Thank you guys for that, for your answers. And I want to personally thank you three for just joining us this afternoon and answering these questions and being honest and open to each of us. Before I ended, I wanted to ask if there's any last words the three of you had. Open floor. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, Miguel, you have something?
Oh no, I was just gonna thank you and the Ability Experience for having this and having me on. So yeah, just thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
second that.
you.
I love the opportunity to talk to you guys. I really missed that they couldn't come through this year. I knew back whenever it was that they canceled. I kind of figured a couple weeks ahead of that they wouldn't be able to do the actual live ride, and I was really really bummed for the guys that they couldn't experience that, and that I couldn't experience. So I appreciate you putting this on, Andy. This is cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's a true honor to join you on this discussion and to engage with you all. So it's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Of course. Then we owe to you three, Miguel, Mark, and Sergio. We truly appreciate you joining us this afternoon, and just we love to hearing from you three. So thank you, and that's we'll call it for this session of Ask Anything. We appreciate it. If you joined in late, we'll make sure that we get a recording out to you so you can watch it as well. So we'll end it here. Thank you for joining us, everybody that came on to watch, and thank you to our panelists. And I hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks.